Hey, what's up, everybody? I'm here to give you guys my WWE All Talk video for WWE Monday Night Raw reviews for January 14th, 2019, up until WWE main event reviews. Well, just review because it's just singular. January 16th, 2019. And this week, I'm doing things a little differently. I actually want to stay caught up on all things WWE related for a little while. So that way I can kind of focus on doing other video projects that I want to do. It kind of sounds really wrong now that I hear it back, but I'm just going to go with it. What I'll do is I'm going to watch the shows, and I'm hopefully going to be watching the shows, each show live every week, well, every day this week. Main event will be held because it's on Hulu. But yes, I am going to watch Raw tonight, Smackdown tomorrow, 205 Live now tomorrow, and obviously main event Wednesday or Thursday whenever they put it on Hulu. I don't even know if we're going to get a real main event review, this week, because I've been trying to watch main event pretty regularly, and it pretty much has failed because it's just a stupid thing where they just show the past moments of Raw or SmackDown, which they do that anyways, but like they haven't shown any matches lately, so I don't know what's going on there. I kind of have like an idea why they did it last week, but whatever. I'm happy though that I had to do a good quality review where I'm caught up on everything. I get to watch everything live. I'm happy that stretches over. I wish it was over a little longer, but whatever. Well, let's see how long this lasts. I at least want to stay caught up on everything for 3 weeks since we have the Royal Rumble coming up and stuff like that. But let's talk about let's do like the preview portion though of this review. I'm just going to go based off the top of my head for Monday Night Raw. I only really know two things. Is that we're going to have a tag team match with Ronda Rousey and Sasha Banks versus Nia Jax and Tamina Snuka, which I'm not really interested in. It's a lame way to put over Ronda Rousey and Sasha Banks. Can they work together? And I think it's just going to be more the same with the faces going over. And yeah, it would just be more of that. It will obviously be ways to build up to the Royal Rumble with Sasha Banks and Ronda Rousey. So yeah. And then you have the featured match they're promoting for this show, which is tonight's Raw. It's going to be a triple threat match for the Intercontinental Championship. Intercontinental Champion Dean Ambrose versus Seth Rollins versus Bobby Lashley. This is what confuses me, because in the new era, they're telling us that there's no more rematches, but yet for some strange, everything's got to be earned, but yet for some strange reason, they've just randomly given Seth Rollins and Bobby Lashley a title match. New era, my ass. This is still rematch city, so fuck off with that. It just doesn't make any sense. Rollins lost his opportunity last week. Bobby Lashley has been losing matches left and right and stuff, and has done nothing to earn an Intercontinental Championship match. Just, ugh. And the Dean Ambrose heel turn's kind of flopped big time too. So there's that. So yeah, not really looking forward to Raw that much tonight. I've sort of stuck by my boycott. Hopefully Raw is a good show, but I don't really know. And then you have SmackDown, which I'm looking forward to. SmackDown, I think there'll be some enjoyable stuff on it. The stuff that's promoted is that The Miz is going to throw Shane McMahon the best birthday celebration in the world. Not interested in that, so yeah. We're going to have an awesome match with Rey Mysterio and Andrade Cien Almas. I think that match will be awesome. You obviously have Almas coming off that great victory where he pinned Rey Mysterio last week on SmackDown, so I'm actually looking forward to that a lot. And you have Carmella versus Sonya Deville, which I'm not really looking forward to that, but whatever. But I typically look forward to SmackDown because it's typically a good show every week. So I'm actually looking forward to that one more. More stuff with the new Daniel Bryan and the Real AJ Styles storyline. And stuff like that. So I actually am looking forward to SmackDown. And then you have 205 Live. I don't think anything's announced for 205 Live. One thing I want to talk about is that it's moving back to Tuesdays, which I think is kind of a huge mistake. Because I actually think that 205 Live was doing better, you know, being on the network Tuesdays because more people were watching. So no, on Wednesdays because more people were watching it, but they're going to change it back to Tuesdays. We'll see how it does. I mean, a good thing about that is it's less wrestling I have to watch Wednesday, but then it's more than I have to watch Tuesday, so it's kind of slim pickings. But we'll have to wait and see how that goes. And then main event, probably just going to be main event, so let's just not even waste our time previewing main event because it's main event. So those are everything that's upcoming for these shows. I'm hoping this is going to be the last WWE All Talk video that I'm going to do for a little while. I'll probably end up maybe doing one more, but I think you know, we're going to do another one at some point. But that's pretty much the end of the introduction. Now let's get at some point later after War's over, I'll review it maybe, you know, either today or tomorrow. But let's get into the War review whenever I'm going to be able to do it. Alright, so starting with Monday Night Raw for January 14th, 2019. We had Corey Graves, Michael Cole, and Renee Young on commentary for this show. And it starts off with a limousine pulling up. And we find out that it's Vince McMahon. And he gets out of the limousine. And he, like, demands that his driver, like, dust off his limousine. I kind of found this funny because of the fact that Vince was very particular about this, and obviously what would happen in a couple of minutes. Obviously what would happen in a couple of minutes and made it even funnier. I also wrote this down because I thought they were going to do some sort of backstage segment, but I guess they didn't, so there's that. So then the show opens up with Braun Strowman. And Braun Strowman says that Brock Lesnar has proven that he's still that he's afraid of him, and he brings up all of their past, how, you know, Brock Lesnar cost him the Universal Championship, that when Braun Strowman was Mr. Money in the Bank or Monster in the Bank, Brock Lesnar never showed up on Raw and was consistently looking over his shoulder when he was there. How at Crown Jewel he needed help from Baron Corbin to win the Universal Championship, and he wouldn't come out and face him last week. But he says at the Royal Rumble, Braun Strowman's going to get these hands, and then Baron Corbin comes out and says that pretty much Braun Strowman's going to fail to win the Universal Championship at the Royal Rumble because he always gets put in these big opportunities and never wins. And then he announces that he's going to be in the Royal Rumble and goes somewhere where Baron Corbin's never been, to the main event of WrestleMania. And then Braun Strowman chases down Baron Corbin, and he can't find Baron Corbin. He's asking everybody where they are. He asked the Sin Brothers, and the Sin Brothers just point in different directions, so this pisses Braun Strowman off, so he takes Sunil Sin and just tosses him right across the table. And then, he sees Vince McMahon's limousine, and, walks by, still looking for Baron Corbin, and then Elias starts doing his performance, which I thought this was awesome. Talking about how Baron Corbin's hiding from Braun Strowman, and Braun Strowman sees him, and Elias sends his son telling Braun Strowman that Baron Corbin's hiding in the limousine, which I actually thought this was a cute part of the segment. And then Braun Strowman tries to get Baron Corbin to come out. He opens the door and throws the driver around. He breaks. He grabs a pipe, well, not a pipe, but some sort of tire iron or something, and breaks into the limousine. Rips the door off, and this scares Baron Corbin, and he runs off. And then Vince McMahon's reaction to all of this was absolutely awesome. He looks at the limousine and he's just pointing to it and just like, what the fuck? It was actually hilarious. Go watch this. It's gold. So then Braun Strowman's trying to put the limousine door back on, and Vince McMahon says that there's going to be repercussions for Braun Strowman. He fines him $10,000. So then Braun Strowman mouths off at Vince McMahon, saying that the limousine isn't worth $10,000. So then he cancels Braun Strowman's Universal Championship match at the Royal Rumble, and then we find out that later on in the show, Braun Strowman had been sent off, and Baron Corbin, after he leaves and stuff, is smirking about this. Now, I did hear earlier in the day that the reason they did this is because Braun Strowman's still injured, and you can tell that he's still injured because if you look at his elbow, it doesn't look like it's fully healed. I do ask, though, why the WWE would promote a match that they know isn't going to happen, but maybe they thought Strowman was going to be cleared by the Rumble, so I'm not really sure what's going on with Braun Strowman. I could still see him being in the Royal Rumble match, because I'd imagine he's going to be at WrestleMania and maybe winning the Royal Rumble match. And then he'll finally win the Universal Championship at WrestleMania, which I think he should have done it last year anyways, but then they could do it this year. Braun Strowman's momentum's really cooled off in a way, because it seems like anytime he catches momentum, he usually they'll drop the ball on him, or he just keeps getting injured. So it kind of sucks. But then it leads to the first match on the show: Ronda Rousey and Sasha Banks versus Nia Jax and Tamina Snuka. Pretty much, what happens is it's a standard tag team match. The heels dominate Sasha Banks, and then eventually she puts Tamina in the Banks statement and taps her out, which was pretty damn lame. So I thought the match was just, whatever. Just kind of a typical formulaic match that was very predictable. Then afterwards, they get interviewed by, I think, Charlie Caruso. And Ronda Rousey talks about how Sasha Banks is one of the people that she respects, and she's going to enjoy, tapping her out at the Royal Rumble. And Sasha Banks is offended by this and says that she's going to teach Ronda Rousey how to lose with class, and Ronda Rousey doesn't want to lose with class. And pretty much the gist of this segment was Ronda Rousey would say something, but then it would sound, Sasha Banks would get upset about it, but Ronda Rousey said that she didn't mean it in that way. And I really wasn't a fan of that part of the segment. So Sasha Banks said she's going to prove that she's the baddest bitch in WWE. They leave, and Ronda Rousey goes to explain herself. But I'm not really a fan of them of going this part of the storyline with it. I think they should have gone a different direction, where they just treated this like a sports fight, and just have Ronda Rousey say that you're my friend, but I'm going to tap you out, and I respect you. None of this wishy-washy storyline crap. I think this is crap. And then superstars are backstage because they are eager to find out who's going to face Brock Lesnar for the Universal Championship. And we got a cameo appearance by Jerry the King Lawler, which I thought was funny because the show, was in Memphis tonight. So I actually thought this was hilarious. Well, Monday night, because this is being filmed on January 14th. I do want to mention that one thing that was annoying about Raw tonight, because this played up throughout the whole show, is Glass comes out this Friday. I'm not gonna see it this Friday because I have other things going on, but I'm gonna go see it next Friday. And I'm looking forward to them film and stuff. But man, I think Glass, whoever, the production company that produced Glass, or the distribution company, whoever did it, they must have paid Raw a shit ton of money apparently to advertise their movie, because they brought this movie up all fucking night. They utilized it in an advertisement. They wouldn't shut up about this movie. They apparently really wanted people to see it. So much to the point where I don't even want to go see this movie now. So, I mean, I still will, because I'll probably still be hyped next Friday, but you get what I'm saying. And then Sasha Banks, Bayley, Natalya, and Ronda Rousey are yelling at each other, and Natalya and Bayley thinks it's, obviously since Natalya's Ronda's friend, she thinks it's Sasha's fault, and since Bayley is Sasha's friend, she thinks it's Ronda's fault because they're supporting their besties, which isn't really believable, but okay. And this is kind of like, stereotypical woman storylines where they think women act this way, but they don't. And then the Riot Squad come up, and it leads to a 6-woman tag, and they have to pick a partner. I even like any of this. Then we had Kalisto and Grand Metalik with Lince Dorado versus the Revival. The Revival come out and talk about conspiracy theories and how the Lucha House Party, wasn't paying attention and stuff, and they should have pointed out the referee, the one last week in the Raw Tag Team title match, and the commentary was off because Renee Young's supposed to be a face, but she was in favor of the Revival, who are heels, and it doesn't make any sense. Then, as the match is going on, they decide that this match is not important. No, this match is important enough to really not feature it that much, because they cut away to backstage interviews with a bunch of geeks saying why they should get a Universal Championship match. I like this because why do the match if you don't care about it? And it just kind of, obviously kind of buried the Raw Tag Team division even more than it already was. So I thought that was really stupid. But they cut to interviews with, like, Apollo Crews saying he wanted a shot at Brock Lesnar. I thought Kurt Hawkins was funny where he mentioned, how it would be Streak versus Beast, because Kurt Hawkins has that losing streak storyline going on. The B team want to face him, but they can't decide which one wants to face him. And then they brought up, we had like the first appearance of EC3, so there's that. But the Revival win when Dawson hits a DDT on Grand Metalik, and he gets his foot on the rope, but Dash puts it off the rope, and the ref doesn't see him do it, so yeah. And then we had a Vince McMahon promo, and he was going to announce the status of the Universal Championship match at the Royal Rumble. But before he can even say anything, John Cena interrupts him, and he says that he knows that Vince McMahon is going to tell the roster to step up. And John Cena says that he should have a shot because during the Ruthless Aggression era, John Cena stepped up when all the past wrestlers, including Brock Lesnar, left, and became the face of WWE after all the shots that Vince McMahon gave him, because he had Ruthless Aggression. This was a very good promo by Cena. This is the best one he's cut since he's been back. And then Drew McIntyre says that he should have a chance because he's with the one that's got Ruthless Aggression, and he says that John Cena should leave and give him his spot because Cena's time is up and McIntyre's time is now. Baron Corbin thinks that he should have a Universal Championship match because it's best for business since he could call his lawyers and force them to give him the Universal title match because he could threaten to sue the damn company. And then Finn Balor thinks he should have a Universal Championship match because, and they all come out obviously, he thinks he can make a believer out of Vince McMahon, and I did like how they kind of touched on that because obviously that was a reference because obviously we know the reports that Vince McMahon thinks that Finn Balor's not over, and that's when Finn Balor started sending out those tweets, the not over like memes and such. And Vince McMahon's kind of laughing about this, saying that all these other guys are big men and Finn Balor's just small, which I kind of find the storyline believable because you could that's kind of how Vince has built his wrestling company around, is all the big guys, so I kind of liked that. And Finn says that he's going to prove it, so he attacks Baron Corbin. Everybody gets into a fight. McIntyre ends up laying out Balor and Cena with a Claymore kick, and Vince McMahon makes a Fatal 4-Way match between all these four guys where the winner is going to face Brock Lesnar at the Royal Rumble for the Universal Championship. And then that's that. I thought this was, though, a very good segment, and I thought it really did a good job setting up the main event, and yeah. So then backstage, though, Jinder Mahal comes up to Vince McMahon and says he should have a Universal Championship match because he was the best WWE champion of the modern era, and it's a dream match that the fans never got to see from Survivor Series 2017. And Vince McMahon says that Jinder Mahal can pick an opponent from the Fatal 4-Way match to face on Raw tonight, and if he beats them, he'll take their spot in the Universal title #1 contenders match. So he chooses Finn Balor since he's the smallest one and thinks he could beat him the easiest. Which that kind of doesn't really make any sense because they faced multiple times and has always lost. But I guess that doesn't. But I guess they're going with that. And then that was made. But then that match was made. And then the Wyatt Squad wrestled Bayley, Natalya, and a mystery partner. And who did the mystery partner end up being? None other than Nikki Cross, who made her official main roster debut. Because obviously she was on SmackDown back in November, but it wasn't like her debut because she ended up going back down to NXT. That was just like a one-time thing. Because we found out that a lot of these superstars that are coming are going to be on Raw and SmackDown these next few weeks until they decide which brand they want to go to, which I think is kind of interesting. I think it's kind of a nice way to showcase them in a way. I don't know what brand they'll end up going to. I think Nikki Cross will end up going to SmackDown since Sanity is on SmackDown, but I don't know. I feel like she doesn't really need Sanity anymore, so maybe just put her on Raw. But we'll have to wait and see on that one. But Nikki Cross, I was actually very surprised about this, and she really made this whole match. I thought she was awesome. You know, she wanted to get tagged in, and Bayley told her to grab the tag rope, and she just beat the crap out of Ruby Riott, and you know, she just wanted to take out all of the Wyatt Squad, so she beat the crap out of, she just took them on 3-on-1, and she went underneath the ring apron and trapped Ruby Riott in it and just started beating on her. Eventually, though, the Wyatt Squad get the heat on Bayley for a while, but then eventually Natalya gets the hot tag and starts going off on Liv Morgan, and you know, Natalya went for the sharpshooter, but then Nikki Cross tagged herself in, and Natalya and Nikki Cross both hit the Doomsday device on Liv Morgan, and you know, Nikki Cross just fucking fucks everybody up in this match. She beats the crap out of everybody. She hits her high cross body off the apron, but eventually she hits the Purge right off the middle turnbuckle, tagging in Bayley, and hitting the elbow drop, I believe, on Sarah Logan for the win. And I love this. I thought Nikki Cross really made this work, and I actually thought it ended up being a hell of a tag team match. Because if Nikki Cross hadn't been here, and they just threw like another woman on the roster, this just would have been any Wyatt Squad lane match. But Nikki Cross really made this work, and I really hope they utilize her to potential, because it's really hard to fuck up a crazy gimmick like this, but they'll find a way probably. And then Finn Balor's backstage. I make note of this because you saw backstage that Lacey Evans was talking to Mickie James and I believe Dana Brooke backstage. So I thought that was interesting. And then Dean Ambrose is backstage and talks about how he's going to retain his Intercontinental Championship and get rid of Lashley and Rollins in the triple threat match for the title. Really wasn't anything noteworthy. And then we had the Fatal 4-Way qualifying match, Jinder Mahal with Samir Sin versus Finn Balor. Before the match starts, when Finn Balor's doing his entrance, Samir Sin grabs Finn Balor, and Jinder Mahal attacks Finn Balor before the match starts, beats the crap out of him, really targets the injured ribs of Finn Balor, which he obviously suffered when he wrestled at the NXT UK TakeOver Blackpool event. And then when the match finally does start, Jinder Mahal pretty much dominates the whole match until Balor wins with the coup de grace. This was fine, though. It was a nice way to put over Finn Balor. I really wasn't a fan of the match really that much, though. And then Lio Rush does a promo saying that Bobby Lashley is going to win the Intercontinental Championship. It showed the glass moment of WWE, and It actually showed the moments when the Walkers broke up, which one thing that disappointed me about this was they cut out Bobby the Brains Heenan's commentary when Shawn Michaels threw Marty Jannetty through the glass window, and Bobby the Brain Heenan was like, "Oh, I knew he was gonna do that." Or when he threw him through the window, he was like, "Jannetty tried to dive through the window Jannetty tried to dive through the window to escape. Did you see that? Oh, what an act of cowardice!" I was very disappointed they did that, because that's really what makes the whole thing work. I mean, obviously it works anyways, but I thought it was awesome. Then we had the triple threat match for the Intercontinental Championship. Intercontinental Champion Dean Ambrose versus Seth Rollins versus Bobby Lashley with Lio Rush ringside. This is like, a standard triple threat match where they do the thing where the heels dominate the babyface, and then the babyface is going to overcome the heels, but then eventually they kind of, causes chaos. Eventually the heels, want to win the championship because the championship's important, and, so they kind of did that story. But they do this moment where Ambrose and Rollins are kind of inadvertently working together to take out Bobby Lashley, which I thought was interesting. But then they eventually just kind of agree to take out Lashley because they were willing to do whatever it takes to win the match, and Lashley's like bigger and strong, so they kind of take the steps and take him out, and then they start taking each other out, and I thought that was awesome. Lio Rush interfered in this match a ton of times, but then eventually Seth Rollins hits the frog splash on Lashley. Ambrose tries to steal the win, and then Ambrose takes out Rollins. And then Ambrose gets hit with the spear, and Lashley becomes the brand new Intercontinental Champion. I actually didn't see this coming. I thought Lashley was the dark horse to win this match. I didn't think he was going to win. I thought it was going to be, either Ambrose or Rollins, and maybe Lashley would have eaten the fall. But they actually, gave the win to Lashley, which I'm all right with, because Lashley and Lio Rush, I think, are an awesome unit. If only Lio Rush, though, was in that Fatal 4-Way match for the Cruiserweight Championship, because then they could have done a thing where Lio Rush, won the Cruiserweight title with Lashley as the, Intercontinental Champion. But I'm guessing they don't want to do that because they don't want to have, like, Lio Rush, who's supposedly supposed to be a manager, have a championship, because that's just kind of weird. So I'm guessing they want to kind of keep that separate. I wonder if he would even come out with a championship, though, because Kalisto is in the 4-way match himself, but that's just kind of besides the point. But what was I gonna say? But Bobby Lashley's the champion, which I'm happy about that. It just kind of shows, though, how much the WWE has screwed over Dean Ambrose's heel run with the championship, because he hasn't even had the belt in a month. He's only had the belt, probably like 3 weeks, maybe a month. Yeah, maybe about a month. Because it was about a month. It was around a month because TLC was like. Actually, I don't think he has had about a month because TLC was December 16th, and this is and today's January 14th. So he didn't even hold the championship a month, and they're already taking the belt off him. Dean Ambrose, I just think this fucked it over confused. With the way Ambrose turned heel, he really should have been the top heel in the company. And it just feels like that, his entrance theme song's annoying. He still cuts the same funny promos. And the whole germaphobe gimmick just isn't working. Like, it just kind of shows that they kind of fucked up his heel character. So, I didn't like this. So then this led to the Moment of Bliss segment with Paul Heyman. They do a bit backstage where one of Alexa Bliss's like stagemen is trying to give her coffee, knocking on a dressing room, but she never answers, so he just walks in to give it to her, and we see that she was still changing, and she was pretty much stripped naked. So that was a pretty funny bit. And then they do the Moment of Bliss. It's with Paul Heyman, and the notable things we found out about it was that we finally are going to have the women's tag team championships crowned at Elimination Chamber. They're gonna do an Elimination Chamber match. 3 women from three teams from Raw, 3 teams from SmackDown, and the winning team will win the women's tag team championships. They actually unveiled the championships, and they actually look pretty cool. I don't mind the championships. I thought they looked a little better, but they looked fine to me. And I'm kind of surprised, though, they're not going to crown them at WrestleMania. I'm kind of surprised about that, but I think that's kind of a mistake because they were hyping it up for so long. The fact that they're just going to crown them at, a pay-per-view like Elimination Chamber, I think it's kind of stupid, but it is what it is, I guess. I'm glad they're not doing a tournament for it in a way, because I think that it would be stupid to do a tournament with the women's titles. But I do like that they are going to be exclusive to both brands, because there's just not enough women on Raw and SmackDown to do one branded women's tag team championships. So I actually kind of like that they're going to be double branded. I do think wonder if this means that they are going to call up some women from NXT, like some women there, or NXT UK. I don't know if you can quite do that though, because there's no woman in NXT UK. I think it's ready to go on the main roster yet, but I'm actually pretty excited about the crowning of the first ever women's tag team titles. I think that's going to end up main event in the show probably, so unless we have a different Elimination Chamber match. And then she brings out Paul Heyman and she asks him about the Fatal 4-Way match, and Heyman talks about each competitor in the match, which I actually kind of thought was funny. And then from out of nowhere, Otis Dozovic comes out, and if you've ever seen this guy in NXT or on Instagram, you know what I'm talking about. He's just being Otis Dozovic, where he goes, Assad, and he's just like, I'm coming, and he's just being a goof, and I guess had a crush on Alexa Bliss, and Tucker Knight has to come out and hold Otis Dozovic back, and everybody has to pull him back, and it was just awesome. And that was it. They couldn't have debuted Otis Dozovic in any other perfect way. This was awesome. This was hilarious. And if they screw up the heavy machinery, then WWE needs to fucking hire new writers or something. Because if they fuck up Otis Dozovic after something like this, then we need to have a serious conversation. This was awesome. This was 5 stars. And I don't care if everybody universally hates this segment. I'm gonna be the one guy that loves it, because this was just Otis Dozovic level right here. This was high comedy. This was awesome, and I think maybe this is gonna be one of those things where if you've never seen Otis Dozovic before, then you probably will hate this segment. But I loved it just because I know who Otis Dozovic is. It would have been the best though if Mandy Rose had been out there, because obviously on his Instagram he creepily will post a picture of himself dressed as Mandy Rose, or just a picture of Mandy Rose. So that would have been hilarious. But I thought this was awesome. If you're not gonna watch Raw, you have to watch find a clip of this somewhere, because it's hilarious. At least I think so, anyways. And then we had the main event. It was the WWE Universal Championship #1 Contenders match. Finn Balor versus Baron Corbin versus Drew McIntyre versus John Cena. I thought this was a good main event here. The heels take out the faces. And Cena hits the AA on McIntyre. It gets broken up by Baron Corbin. Baron Corbin goes to hit that crappy run out of the ring, run back into the ring clothesline move, but McIntyre catches him with a glass glow kiss. And then he goes for the Claymore kick, and this was weird. They went to commercial when he went for his finisher, which I thought was a really weird time to go to commercial. And Cena and Balor hit a double suplex on Corbin. Finn Balor goes to hit a dive. Corbin hits a deep six on him, and then he hits a choke slam into the backbreaker. Cena and Balor go to double superplex Corbin off the turnbuckle, but the second turnbuckle, but McIntyre runs in and hits a double powerbomb on him. Eventually, Cena hits the Avalanche AA right onto Finn Balor, and he actually kicked out of it. Yes, Corbin had to throw Cena out, and he had a couple of minutes to recover, but he kicked out of that. No one ever kicks out of that. There's only been a couple of people that have, so I thought that was awesome. And then eventually the finish comes when Corbin gets upset about this. He grabs a chair and lays out everybody. And then Cena hits the AA on Corbin. McIntyre hits the Claymore on Cena. Balor hits the DDT on McIntyre. And then he hits the coup de grace on Cena. And he actually pins Cena to get the victory. Which I actually thought that if all the guys of this match, Cena was the guy to take the fall because it's going to hurt him the least. You could have had Corbin take the fall too, because, and I actually thought he was going to take the fall because he's being de-pushed right now, but I think Cena was the perfect guy because it puts Balor over the most. And afterwards, Cena does a promo saying that he's a believer in Finn Balor and just really puts him over, raises his hand, and now the match is official. It's going to be Brock Lesnar versus Finn Balor for the WWE Universal Championship, which obviously I find kind of surreal in a way, because last year we were supposed to get that match, but obviously it was pulled because Vince didn't think Finn was over enough, and that led to that whole meme, and they actually changed it to Strowman, so it was just reversed this year. If you had asked me, if we were ever going to get that match, I would have said you crazy. Obviously, if you had asked me that last year, probably, if you had asked me before the Rumble last year, I would have believed it. But if you had asked me last year when all that stuff was going on with Finn, I never would have guessed. If you had asked me that like about a month ago, I never would have guessed we were going to get that match. I think it's awesome. And I know why they're doing this match, really, because Braun is out and they needed an opponent for Brock. But I don't care, because I think this is a hell of a replacement. I really hope Finn Balor pulls out the Demon at the Royal Rumble, because it really wouldn't make sense if he didn't. And I get that, Finn's probably going to end up losing, so maybe they don't want to do that, but they got to pull out the Demon at the Royal Rumble. That's what really will make the match, is Finn as the Demon versus Brock Lesnar. That I will rant if they don't do it that way, but we have to wait and see. Because if you're going to bring out the Demon, that's when you bring out the Demon. So, but that was this week's Raw. If you had to ask me, I really can't say I liked this show, though, because they still kind of fell into their old habits. I thought the first hour was complete crap with, the Sasha Banks, Ronda Rousey stuff. The, Lucha House Party versus Revival. The Riot Squad stuff. I really wasn't, much of a fan, too, of the Jinder Mahal stuff with Finn, having a match with Finn Balor. I get what they were doing. They were really trying to hype up Finn Balor, but I just didn't really think that was necessary. The Dean Ambrose's heel character is just awful right now. And, the first hour was a chore to get through, but I would say, it definitely improved hours number, this once the second hour kicked in. But, it ended up just being okay stuff. I did like the IC title triple threat. I thought that was good. I liked the Moment of Bliss stuff. I liked the, Otis Dozovic popping up. I liked the main event. So I'll say this is an okay show. I'm not going to give it a C+, because I think that's too generous of a grade, because I gave last week's a C+, and I'm even contemplating that. I think I was a little too generous last week. I'm not going to be that generous this week. I am going to give it a C. It was an okay show. There really, wasn't anything that, wowed me on this show, except maybe that Finn Balor, won tonight and stuff, and how heavily they pushed him, because I was, I thought, after NXT UK take over Blackpool, he was just going to go back to just being irrelevant again. but I guess I was mistaken. So I'll say Raw was an okay show. A C. There really hasn't been a new era yet, though. That really hasn't happened. I'm not feeling a new era right now, so it's still early, but I'm thinking that was it's all just smoke and mirrors. That's what I'm thinking. So yeah, but now we got SmackDown tomorrow. I'm really looking forward to that. I think SmackDown's gonna end up topping Raw. This is definitely an example of why the first hour has to go. You could give WWE a pass and say they had to rewrite this show because of Strowman's injury, but because that kind of, you could say, affected the show because of the decisions they were making, hurt it. But I don't really believe that. I can only throw out so many excuses, so I'm not really gonna throw it out there because I could have said, because last week it's this, last week it's that, so I'm not giving them a pass. It gets a C. It's okay. So that's my thoughts on Raw. I'll be back at some point, probably after 205 Live, to review SmackDown and 205 Live. Okay, so now on to SmackDown for January 15th, 2019. Before I get into SmackDown, I just want to mention one final thought about Raw. I put some thought into it over the next couple of days, and I've decided to change my letter grade. Thinking about it, I actually thought it was a really good show. I think I was just a little tired and stuff on Monday, so I was a little bit too critical on Raw. So I decided to change the grading system, and I'm going to give Raw just a really good show. I'm going to give it a B. It wasn't quite B plus for me. I think if the first hour had been a little bit better, I would have given it a B plus, but I really did like, everything that was on it. Just the first hour could have been better. So I am going to give Raw a B plus. Now that I've kind of gone into that, let's talk about SmackDown. From last night, but if you've seen the video, because it's today's January 16th, so I don't know when this video is going up, but at the time of this recording, it's from last night. So we had Corey Graves, Tom Phillips, and Byron Saxton on commentary for this show, which I think is the worst commentary team in WWE right now. That or Raw, but it's really not Raw's fault but that's a whole different reason. The show kicks off with Becky Lynch arriving to the arena in a rental car, and apparently Kayla Braxton, who was there to interview her, was waiting to ask her a question, and the question was, "Are you ready for Asuka?" Which I thought was a really stupid question to ask, especially since you were waiting all day to ask her that question, but I guess it is what it is. So Becky Lynch said she's going to go to the ring right now and answer that question. But before that, they do a little funny segment where Heavy Machinery and the New Day mixing like a protein shake with pancakes, and they offer for New Day to try some, but they're very hesitant about it. And then Becky Lynch walks back up and tries it herself. And then that was that. I actually thought this was a funny bit, though. I thought it was a nice way, to kind of tie in Heavy Machinery and stuff. And I thought it just made Becky Lynch look really cool. So then Becky Lynch goes out to the ring. She talks about how she's been leading the women's division. When she was the SmackDown Women's Champion, she brought that title as Besties, and she talked about how she became the hottest thing in the company, and everybody was really talking about Becky Lynch, and she lived up to her hype and talked about how everybody wishes they could be back there, lead the division, but it's a lot harder than you think. So then she says that Asuka found out to be all hype because last year she was undefeated and won the first ever Women's Royal Rumble match, but then went into WrestleMania and lost all of her credibility. And she also lost to somebody that Becky Lynch for 5 months just continuously beat. And then she gets interrupted by Asuka. She talks about how Becky Lynch stins like a bee but has no stin or something like that. was very broken English. She couldn't really understand what Asuka was saying. So then the Iconics come out. They make fun of them. So Becky Lynch challenges them to a match and has invites Asuka to watch ringside, so that way she can see what all the hype behind Becky Lynch is. So Becky Lynch faces Peyton Royce. I forgot to mention too, the Iconics also came out and announced they're going to be in the Women's Royal Rumble match, and that they're going to become the first ever Women's Tag Team Champions. So I don't know if this means they're also going to be in the Elimination Chamber match. I really haven't looked that up yet. And they're going to make WrestleMania iconic. But we have the match. It's Becky Lynch versus Peyton Royce with Billie Kay ringside. And it was, a fine match. Becky Lynch wins with a disarm her. So then afterwards, Asuka, in Japanese, challenges Billie Kay to a match to kind of one-up Becky Lynch. And she just quickly beats Billie Kay. And then they have a face-off, and then that was that. But I actually enjoyed how they did all this. I thought it, did a really good job of hyping me up to want to see their match at the Royal Rumble, because I don't think, to my knowledge, we've seen Asuka versus Becky Lynch unless they've done it on house shows and stuff, but I'm actually really looking forward to that match. Then AJ Styles comes out, and I kind of liked how they kind of transitioned into this because it made it feel unexpected. And he goes to the concession stands, and he does this to get under the new Daniel Bryan's skin, since he's, very environmental friendly, doesn't want overconsumption, and people buying hot dogs and things like that. So he throws shirts at everybody and stuff, and then the new Daniel Bryan attacks AJ Styles because he was in disguise as one of the fans, and they get into a brawl. AJ Styles puts him through a table, and he gets covered in mustard, and they have to be broken up. But I like the way they did all this. I thought it actually did a really good job of hyping me up to want to watch their match at the Royal Rumble. I don't know if they're going to add a stipulation to this match or not, like an ODQ match or something like that, but I liked it. I thought it was fine. And I'm just going to cover this storyline too all in one thing, because I didn't really particularly care for it, and I just want to get it over with. So, the Usos are backstage doing pictures for the Royal Rumble, which I'd imagine they're going to be in the Men's Royal Rumble. And Jimmy gets a gift, which is a hotel key, and we find out that it was like Naomi and Jimmy Uso's anniversary, and Jimmy, gets a letter that says that, wishing them all the love, and I want to visit the Uso Penitentiary. It was a sex reference. So, it's a hotel key, and we find out that it's from Mandy Rose, which obviously everyone could see that coming a mile away. So then Jay asks Jimmy what he plans on doing. So what ends up happening is later on in the show, Sonya Deville and Mandy Rose have a talk, and we find out that Mandy Rose is doing this to try to make Naomi's life a living hell. And Sonya Deville even thinks this is too far. Which was weird about this is earlier yesterday, they had hyped up a match between Sonya Deville and Carmella, but it didn't happen. I guess they were on their vacation to WWE headquarters. Which the clips on it is pretty funny. I don't know why they couldn't do the clip on SmackDown, but whatever. So then Jimmy Uso actually goes to the hotel, and Mandy Rose is wearing sexy clothing, and a photographer comes in and takes pictures, and we find out she's using this as a scandalous so that way she can ruin Naomi's life, thinking that Jimmy Uso's cheating on her, because she's sick and tired of Naomi being the focal point of the SmackDown Women's Division and coming in like she owns the place. So Jimmy Uso leaves, and we find out that Naomi actually was there, so the scandal backfired. They get into a brawl, and, Mandy Rose ends up escaping, and that was that. This reminded me of, it was just really not that good. I really didn't care for any of this. I don't care about the storyline. So there's that. But, I don't really understand this. I think it would have been better if instead of Jimmy went, it was actually Jay just because I think that would have been a nice twist. I think it would have been something different, but I guess it is what it is. I did forget to mention, too, during the Becky Lynch iconic matches and stuff, Lacey Evans was watching the match backstage, so there was her NXT, cameo appearance. And then Samoa Joe's walking backstage, going to his match with Mustafa Ali. We had an EC3 cameo appearance. And then Zelina Vega and Andrade. He's just Andrade now. They cut out the Cien Almas part, which I don't know why they did that. And he's going to have a match with Rey Mysterio. And he talks about how they're going to be the future of SmackDown Live, and Rey Mysterio is going to be the first victim. This must have been pretty cool for Zelina Vega because she was a huge Rey Mysterio fan growing up, so yeah. And then we were supposed to have a match between Samoa Joe and Mustafa Ali, but the match never happened. Samoa Joe brutalizes Mustafa Ali and beats the crap out of him, and yeah. I actually liked it, though, because it put over Samoa Joe as like a big badass, and afterwards he gets interviewed and says that he did this to kind of set an example for the other 29 men in the Royal Rumble match. So I like this, and I think this is going to be a feud, which obviously I'd be alright with. It's really kind of like a double-edged sword, though, because if Joe loses, he loses credibility, and Mustafa Ali's like the new guy to SmackDown. So we'll have to wait and see what they do with that. Then Rey Mysterio's backstage, and he walks by Nikki Cross, and Nikki Cross says that she wants to play with Rey Mysterio, which I actually thought was a very good line. And then we had the best match of the week, probably is going to be the best match of the week. Very good match, Rey Mysterio versus Andrade with Zelina Vega inside. I thought this was a hell of a match. I think this match actually was better than the first match because there was a little bit more interest in it since you actually had you didn't really know who was going to win. I had a feel, because I was wondering if the WWE was going to put over Andrade Cien Almas, but I really wasn't sure. I thought last week was just a fluke, but that's not what happened. And I really just can't do this match justice. It's really good. Check it out. But there were spots like Andrade Cien Almas doing the Tree of Woe double stomp off like the post. Rey Mysterio hit a lot of really cool Hurricanranas and the Cena Senton dives, which was awesome. Andrade Cien Almas hitting an awesome powerbomb on the floor. Hitting the double knees into the corner. Rey Mysterio doing like the Canadian Destroyer almost onto Andrade Cien Almas, which that's a hell of a move. I like that he does that. I don't think he's going to do that move often, but Andrade Cien Almas goes for like the Hemlock DDT. Rey Mysterio counters it. Rey Mysterio went to get the win a ton of times. They exchanged roll-ups. And it was just a really fun luchador match. I really would love to see like a best-of-3 series with these guys. I really wish they would do that. Like the winner gets like a U.S. title match or something. But eventually Rey Mysterio hits the 619 when Zelina Vega tried to intercept. But Zelina Vega gets on the apron. This distracts Rey Mysterio long enough for Andrade to capitalize and hit the Hemlock DDT off the turnbuckles, and then that was that. I like the way they did all this. I think the right person went over because Andrade's a new superstar. Rey Mysterio doesn't have anything to gain from getting this victory, and I think they've actually updated Andrade's promo a little bit. He's finally starting to have a purpose on SmackDown because for a while he was just kind of there having the great matches, not really getting the wins. But it looks like he's starting to get a little bit of a push, which I'm happy about. I hope this leads to him winning the U.S. title or maybe, maybe the tag team titles at some point. I don't think he's going to win the Rumble. I think that's just way too random, and there's just other options that are out there. If they had him win the Rumble, that would be kind of disappointing, honestly. It'd be very different, but there's really just... I think you should kind of save that. If you had been building him up, more properly all along, I would say so, but I don't think he's going to win the Rumble. So then it led to that Jimmy Uso stuff, which I'm not really going to get into that. And then we had the Besties birthday bash hosted by The Miz. I didn't like any of this. The Miz talks about him. He gives him a gift. He gives him Michael Jordan shoes. And then he shows a video package of all of Shane's moments in WWE. And Shane McMahon tells a story that his dream as a kid was to be the tag team champions, and he said that they were going to achieve that dream at the Royal Rumble. So then the Bar come out, They make fun of him, talk about how Vince McMahon's not there and stuff. So then Shane McMahon, on behalf of The Miz, challenges, Sheamus to a match. The Miz, who isn't, is just in a suit, says he's not really in ring gear, but Shane McMahon says that, I can do this because I won the Best in the World trophy when I wasn't prepared. So they have the match. It's a typical match. Shane McMahon puts Cesaro through the table with the cake on it, and Miz beats Sheamus with a roll-up. And then Miz and Shane McMahon attack Sheamus. And then Shane McMahon does coast-to-coast with the cake in front of Sheamus, which was And then that was pretty much the end of SmackDown. I thought SmackDown had a very weak ending with the Jimmy Uso stuff and the Besties stuff. But I did like everything else that was on it. I liked the Becky Lynch Asuka stuff. I liked how they did the WWE Championship program. I liked Andrade versus Rey Mysterio. I liked the Joe attack on Mustafa Ali. But I didn't really care for the end. I didn't care for the Jimmy Uso, Mandy Rose feud. And I didn't care about the Miz, Shane McMahon feud. I don't know how anybody in the world could care about that. So I'm going to give SmackDown a B-. I thought it was a good show. But I would have enjoyed this show more, but a lot of this show was that Mandy Rose, Jimmy Uso stuff, and then obviously the ending just really didn't impress me all that much. But I did love Andrade versus Rey Mysterio. If you haven't seen that match, go watch it. And I like the Becky Lynch and Asuka stuff, and I like the AJ Styles bit, so there was some good stuff. I enjoyed Raw, I think, a little bit more, which is the first time in a while, but yeah, that was my review of SmackDown. Now I'm going to review 205 Live, so let me get right into that right now. Alright, so now on to 205 Live, which I thought was also a really good show. I think I enjoyed that a little bit more than SmackDown. We had Vic Joseph and Percy Watson on commentary for this show. The first match was Lio Rush versus Lince Dorado with Kalisto and Grand Metalik ringside. Lio Rush does this promo talking about how he wanted to be successful when he came to 205 Live, and Lince Dorado took that away from him. So, it leads to the match, and Lio Rush wants Kalisto and Grand Metalik to go backstage since they're the reason that he lost, and he wants to prove that he can do this himself. And Lince Dorado and Lio Rush get into a fight before the match, and they have an awesome match. Just go watch it. It's an awesome match. They do the Springboard Stunner, which is the Golden Rewind by Lince Dorado. Lio Rush targets the leg throughout the match in the back of Lince Dorado, and Lio Rush hits some really impressive moves, but eventually he wins with the final hour. Afterwards, he continuously attacks Lince Dorado, and Kalisto and Grand Metalik run out and chase him away. And then Noam Dar is backstage, and he talks about how, he feels like he redeemed himself for his win against Tony Nese. And Tony Nese comes up and, says that Noam Dar got lucky, and that he's, any other time, I would beat you. And then Noam Dar just continuously say that Tony Nese lost, so Tony Nese challenges him to a rematch, but Noam Dar really isn't interested because Tony Nese lost. I like this feud, though. I think it's a nice little feud, and I kind of like that Noam Dar's not giving him the rematch right away, so I have a feeling that eventually we will get that rematch, and I'm looking forward to that match. And then we get promos from the some of the contenders in the Fatal 4 match at not Crown Jewel, Royal Rumble, where Kalisto talks about how, when it was from earlier today, because I thought it was weird that Kalisto was kind of being funny, but I thought that ended up making sense. So Kalisto says that the Lucha House Party was made to bring fun to Lucha Libre, and he's going to become a 2-time Cruiserweight champion at the Royal Rumble. The Brian Kendrick and Akira Tozawa say, the Brian Kendrick says that anything goes in a Fatal 4 match, and he's going to express all his knowledge and do whatever he can to get Akira Tozawa ready for that match. And Akira Tozawa says what he said, which I thought was funny. And Arya Daivari and Hideo Itami talk about how since Hideo Itami's been back, he's been extra aggressive in 205 Live, and he's put people on the shelf, and he's going to do the same thing at Royal Rumble. And he talks about, how the fact that he hasn't been a Cruiserweight champion is going to make him very dangerous. And they announced that next week there's going to be a triple threat match between all these three guys, Hideo Itami, Akira Tozawa, and Kalisto, and I actually can't wait to see that match. I think that match is going to be awesome. And then, I actually think I jumped ahead, but Drake Maverick's backstage, and TJP comes up to him, and he's being very cocky, and, Drake Maverick, tries to get him to do up more opportunities, but TJP just walks away laughing. I'm interested to see what they do with this, though. Obviously, they've been kind of having like a little issue since Drake Maverick became the GM of 205 Live, so I'm interested to see what happens with this. And then we had the main event. It was Buddy Murphy's Open Challenge. Who came out and accepted? None other than Humberto Carrillo, which I actually kind of marked out for a little bit. Obviously, he's been somebody that's been seen in NXT over the past couple of months, and I actually kind of thought this was a little bit of a surprise. I thought Humberto Carrillo looked pretty impressive in this match, and he hit a lot of really cool high spot moves onto Buddy Murphy, and I thought they had a pretty good cruiserweight match here. It was a pretty good main event. What was a shame was the crowd was chanting "This is Born" during this match, which kind of sucks, because I actually thought they were having a pretty good match, which is why I think it's a mistake that they put 205 Live back to, being live right after SmackDown, because, I think it's going to affect the crowd and stuff, because I think, the crowd's already sat through like a 2-hour SmackDown and stuff, so I thought that kind of sucked. But Buddy Murphy, when Humberto Carrillo goes for a vertical suplex, lands on his feet, but tweaks his leg. And I kind of thought this was legit, but since the referee didn't point out the X sign, I kind of was thinking, okay, this has got to be a work right here. And that's exactly the case. Buddy Murphy tries to steal the win, but Humberto Carrillo rolls... he tries to hit Murphy's Law, but Humberto Carrillo rolls him up, and he gets onto a House of Fire. He, beats the crap out of Buddy Murphy, throws him over the announcer's table, bounces his head over the announcer's table, and then he goes for a high cross body, but Buddy Murphy counters with a high knee into the Murphy's Law for the win. And obviously that you could say like this makes Humberto Carrillo look bad losing his first match, but I don't really think so. There's Buddy Murphy should win this match. He's the Cruiserweight champion, and he's got to go in looking strong into the Fatal 4-Way match, and the whole thing is that he wants to prove he's the best Cruiserweight, so I thought it made sense. And I still think that Humberto Carrillo still looks strong in defeat. I still think, the fact that he was just there, taking it to the Cruiserweight champion, will put him on the map as one of the best Cruiserweights. So I actually thought that made sense. We did find out afterwards that Drake Maverick signed him to a contract, so now he's going to be a part of 205 Live, which I'm actually all in favor for. I think Humberto Carrillo can be, a pretty decent-sized star in 205 Live. I think he'll have some incredible matches. And yeah, that was pretty much the end of 205 Live. I enjoyed this show. I thought it was really good. I liked about everything that was on it. But yeah, I really disappointed that they put 205 Live back to its original time slot. I thought Wednesdays was really working. The fans seemed like they were more interactive because it was being filmed. They really should have just kept it on Wednesdays. I think it would have made sense. But I guess it is what it is. If it was me too, if they were going to do this, they should have had moved 205 Live to before SmackDown at least, because then at least people would be more interested to watch it. I think after SmackDown was a mistake. But that's just me. But I'm going to give 205 Live a B. I thought it was a really good show. If you had to ask me what the best show, out of Raw, SmackDown, and 205 Live was, I might say Raw for a change. I'm going to be generous and give it to Raw, because Raw, I thought, kept people interested all throughout. 205 Live was really good, but I think Raw just kind of surprised me a little bit more. Ironically enough, I thought SmackDown was the worst show, but it wasn't like it was a bad show. But that's that. But now I gotta watch main event, and whenever main event goes on Hulu, I'll review it. It could be in a couple minutes, could be a few hours, could be the next day. But so, be on the lookout for this video, because whenever this video comes out will be when I review main event. So I'll see you guys then. Okay, so now we have main event for January 16th, 2019. It was an actual episode of main event. It wasn't, somebody standing there and recapping the shows, which we still kind of got that, but we actually had some matches. We had Percy Watson and Tom Phillips on commentary for this show. The reason why Vic Joseph wasn't there was they tried to make it seem like that he was still doing taping for the NXT UK shows, which is kind of funny because he was on 205 Live recently this week, and now he can't be on main event, which is supposedly live on Wednesdays, but it's really not. It's taped Mondays. It's the dog matches before Monday Night Raw, but I just kind of found it funny. So let's talk about these matches. Really not a lot to talk about. They were both tag team matches. The first one was Zack Ryder, Jose. I just froze, but I'm just going to keep going because I'm just going to leave that in there because there's no point.
So we had Zack Ryder and No Way Jose versus Kurt Hawkins and Tyler Breeze. I always enjoy watching a Kurt Hawkins match because you think he's going to get his big win. He's now at, as of this match, he was at 255 consecutive losses. I really wish they would utilize the storyline a lot more on Raw and stuff, because people would get invested in Kurt Hawkins, but they really won't do that. And obviously, they lost. They did hit this cool move where No Way Jose hit an assisted Rough Rider right onto Tyler Breeze, and it led to the win, but really this doesn't matter. It does continue the Kurt Hawkins storyline, but Zack Ryder and No Way Jose aren't going to be utilized anymore, so this win doesn't matter. Then you had the main event of main event, which really isn't anything to brag about because you're just, the last match before Raw comes on, so everyone wants to see Raw, what they really came for. It was Ember Moon and Dana Brooke versus Alicia Fox and Mickie James. And Alicia Fox and Mickie James win with the Mick DDT, which I hate the name of that finisher, on Dana Brooke, which obviously made sense for Dana Brooke to eat the fall. This one doesn't matter either, though, because Mickie James and Alicia Fox's spot's not going to change. It's just main event. This match, though, really wasn't all that good. For some strange reason, they decided to have Ember Moon take the heat in this match, and Dana Brooke get the hot tag, which that was just a disaster right there, so really not going to break down the match any more than I have to. That's main event. It was a very average show. I typically am not as critical as main event because it's not like a big deal, but these are matches we could have seen at house shows or, just random matches on Monday Night Raw, so I'm giving main event a C-. It was very average, so there's my review of main event. And that's the end of this video. Sorry you're just now seeing this video Friday, but it took a while for main event to get added to Hulu. And I forgot to check yesterday because yesterday was Thursday. So I guess it is what it is. But this is probably going to be the last WWE All Talk video for a while because the Wrestling Rundown returns at 3 o'clock today, but we're going to pre-tape it, so you'll probably see it around 6:30. So you're not going to see a WWE All Talk video for a while. What we're going to do is we're going to bring back the Wrestling Rundown on this channel until after Fastlane, and then from after Fastlane till after WrestleMania, we're going to have the Wrestling Rundown move to the CM Brothers channel for a little while. So what we're going to do is we're going to do an experiment, see where it will get the most views. So the WWE All Talk videos will come back in March. So I hope you guys have enjoyed them. And that's pretty much the end of this video. Thank you guys for watching. Please make sure you guys like, comment, and share this video so people will watch it. Make sure you guys subscribe to this channel for more content and click on the bell so that way every time I upload a video, you guys get the notifications for it. And make sure you guys do the same thing for my Owen the Talkinator and CM Brothers channel. Got a lot of videos coming up on the Owen the Talkinator channel for the next few days, so be on the lookout for those. And that's pretty much it, guys. Talk to you later.